My musical influences growing up, number one was Prince. His guitar playing and his musical arrangements were like some of the greatest music I've ever heard. George Benson is phenomenal. Wes Montgomery. So a lot of those older artists were people that influenced me coming up. My very first guitar I got was a cheap Fender Squire. It was a guitar my dad had bought me because I told my dad I wanted to learn how to play. Cause he took me to church one Sunday, and I seen the guitar player at church playing, and I told my dad, like at 12 years old, like, Dad, that's what I want to do. And he was like, Are you sure? I'm like, yes, that's what I want to do. So he bought me a guitar, practiced it, learned it, and here we are today. So some of the guitars I play today, Paul Reed Smith, I love those guitars, D'Angelico, Ibanez. So I switched was because a lot of people play the same instruments. So like a group of musicians or guitar players all play this specific brand, and nobody wants to like venture out and try other things. So I wanted to be ahead of everybody and what was going on. So I wanted to venture out and learn other instruments, learn other brands, and not be stuck in this rat race with everybody playing the same type of guitars. When I found out I was good enough to play guitar to make money, I was in my basement and a friend of mine had came over, and at the time I was playing piano. It was a good friend of mine named Jake, and he seen my guitar in the corner, and he was like, "Whose guitar is that?" I'm like, that's my guitar." He said, "Can you play?" I said, "Yeah, I can play." He said, "Play something for me." So I played something for him, and he was like, "Man, listen," he's like, "You sound great. I got a gig for you at this church. You know, I could pay you $50 a Sunday." And that was my first job as a musician at 16. So my first very professional musical job was playing for Escape. I got the call from Marcus Divine. He called me, we talked, and I ended up going out to Vegas and playing for Escape. We rehearsed for a few weeks, and that was my very first musical major tour and performance. So I'll tell you this, my very first moment where I almost crashed and burned on stage was I was playing with Genuine. This was like maybe 2015, 2016. We was at the Fox Theater in Detroit. I was playing for Genuine, and they wanted me to start off In Those Jeans, the song In Those Jeans. So I played the intro guitar lick, and the crowd just started screaming, going nuts, and it scared me, and I almost messed up the intro. So when I was playing for Genuine and I had to do the intro for In Those Jeans, that's a very popular song, which we all know, but I didn't know that the crowd was going to react so fast to the song. So by me playing the intro line, the crowd immediately knew what it was, and they just went crazy, and it scared me because you got like 10,000, 20,000 people screaming at you while you trying to do, your job. It's a little bit overwhelming, but I made it through it. My greatest performance moment, I've had so many of them, but I remember my very first gig with Kendrick the Family Soul. I got the call for that gig. We did Vine Jazz in Columbus, Ohio, and that was a very, very good gig for me. That was my first gig with them, and that was a gig that I did that I was actually like proud of myself. Like, you really did your work, did your homework, learned the music, studied it, and did very well translating all your hard work on stage. I would tell any aspiring musician, if you want to play and you want to get to a professional level, practice, practice, practice. That's the only way to get to it. You have to be the best at what you do. In this field of music, practice is the most important thing you can do. You got to put the time in. You can't fake it no more. Like, people know the real from the fake. So if you practice and put the time in and put the work and the effort in, it translates on stage. Oh, I would like to give a shout out to the Most High, my parents, uh, my family, my friends, all my musical colleagues, everybody that believed in me and gave me a shot to do what I love to do.
And that's what it is. So that's the song that you had to play that made the whole crowd go wild and it made you nervous, huh?
Yes. Okay. I changed from Taylor to Martin because I like how Martins feel. I like the feel. So it's a choice you got to make. Do I want the sound or do I want the feel and the playability? So I moved from Taylor to Martin because Martin has a better feel. The guitars aren't as difficult to play, and when you play an acoustic on an acoustic set, you might be playing by yourself for maybe 30 to 45 minutes, and you just need something comfortable to play. That's why I switched. The gauge strings I play on my acoustics are 11, and I use Diodario's phosphate bronze 11 gauge strings.
And there it is. Yo, I had to come back and let y'all hear my boy because he actually brought his guitar to the barbershop. So, once again, Kenny Rocket, Barbershop Chronicles. Hit him, Kenny.